told this story under an alt account I use for hobbies, but I cut and pasted it here. It's one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. This happened a long time ago, back in 1989. I hope I can tell the story in a way that conveys just how bad this scared me. I still don't know what it really was or what happened, so I make no claims as to the explanation. I still think about this sometimes. I was 19 years old, and I was working in an after-school care that was ran out of the building of a small church in the rural southern town where I lived. The church was really small and in the shape of an L, with a door at the top of the L, the sanctuary at the elbow of the L, and a door at the short end of the L. There was also a full basement that was furnished and used for the Sunday school rooms, and where the kids from the after-school program did homework and played games sometimes. There were only about 12 or 13 kids in the program most of the time, and I think one time we swelled to something like a whopping 17. Because the church was small and the community was small, there were no aspirations to have a large program, and the entire thing was really to provide a service to parents in the church. Anyway, what I would do every weekday was attend community college classes in the morning and then go straight from classes to the church and work on homework or read until the kids were dropped off by the school bus. I usually had between 2 and 2.5 hours, either completely alone in the church or sometimes the pastor would stop by and work in his office, but mostly I was alone. I never heard or saw anything at all, and I was locked inside the building so no one could come in. Even when the kids were there, the doors stayed locked for safety. I did this for a full year and a summer, and then the second year, my best friend at the time came to work with me. She and I were both pretty serious kids, in the sense that we didn't drink or do drugs. We weren't into anything occult or spooky, just normal young girls who went to college classes and went to work. One day, not too long after she started working with me, I had the kids in the basement playing games while some of them worked on homework. The deal was that one of us would prepare snack in the kitchen upstairs, while the other one entertained the kids. She was upstairs making snack when all of a sudden I hear the door at the top of the basement stairs open, and she comes running down the stairs calling my name. I could hear the fear in her voice, so I met her at the bottom of the stairs, and she's scared. She was not one to be dramatic at all, and I had never seen her scared before, and I'd known her since the 8th grade. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, in a trembling voice, that she'd heard someone in the sanctuary. I said, "What? No way. We're here by ourselves. It must be your imagination." But she was adamant that she'd heard someone upstairs in the sanctuary, and she was scared to death. Again, I told her she must be mistaken, and she said, "I'm not kidding. There's somebody up there moving around in the sanctuary, and I saw something. I don't know what it was." The sanctuary, in the elbow of the L shape of the church, was right beside the kitchen where she'd been preparing snack. I was a brave kid and had more bravery than brains at the time. I told her to stay in the basement with the kids and that I was going up to check it out. That scared her as well, and she told me not to go. It really was a stupid thing for me to do, considering that if someone had been in up there, I could have been attacked, and I really wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. But anyway, I went up to the top of the stairs and stuck my head out the door and first made sure no one was in the hallway. Next, I checked all of the Sunday school rooms down the long arm of the L, along with the pastor's office. I found nothing, so by this time I was sure she'd heard the wind, it was fall and windy, or heard the foundation of the building settle and it spooked her. Next, I checked the bathrooms at the short end of the L and made sure that all of the doors to the building were locked. No one had come into the building since we got there, and the doors had been locked when I arrived that day, so I was absolutely sure we were alone. Next, I walked up to the door of the sanctuary and looked through the small window at the top of the door and saw nothing. There was a row of pews on each side of the sanctuary, a pulpit up front, and on the left-hand side of the pulpit was a closed door that led to the choir area. So I opened one of the doors and walked into the sanctuary and slowly made my way up to about halfway of the pews, and I stopped and looked around. Everything was dead silent. I said, "Hello? Is there anybody here? Hello?" And just as I finished saying that, the door to the left-hand side of the pulpit slowly swung all the way open. I can't really put into words the feeling that hit my body. The blood drained down out of my torso and into my legs, which both tried to run and were bolted to the floor at the same time. A jolt of adrenaline surged through my body, and at the same time I felt like I was moving in slow motion as I turned and bolted out of the sanctuary and down the stairs, yelling to get the kids out for the building. We got the kids out back and debated what to do. This was the time before cell phones, so one of us still had to go back inside and call the pastor to come down, or we all had to stand outside and wait for a parent or someone from the church to come by and check things out, which could be a very long time. I went back inside to the pastor's office and quickly used the phone to call his house and ask for someone to come by. When the church was searched, nothing was found, and everyone thought we had overactive imaginations. Like I said in the beginning, I make no claims to what opened that door or what my friend heard, but something or someone was in that church with us that day, and I never felt comfortable alone there again.
Story 2. I have 2, so this will be long. If you want the TLDR ahead of time, it's this. Something called my name on 2 occasions. I've told this before, but I'll never forget either one. I also have a bonus story about a creepy church, but I wasn't alone for that one. If anyone wants, I'll tell it. Story 1. I was about 11-ish, maybe 12. I got off the school bus one day and walked home. By the time I got home, I was hot and needed to use the bathroom. Our house was small. Think 1950s style brick home in the U.S. Southeast in a quiet rural neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen, living room. About 1,000 square feet, so not many places for anyone to hide inside the house. I walked in the back door and sat my books down and immediately headed for the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet on this nice sunny day just doing my thing, and I hear my name called from outside the door, and the voice sounded as if it came from the end of the short hallway that runs down the middle of the house. The voice called me by my childhood nickname and sounded like my mom. Only my mom was at work and I was completely alone in the house. I froze. I didn't know what to do as I was absolutely sure there was a burglar in the house. I finished as quickly as possible and went over to the bathroom door, sure that when I opened it I was going to find some woman in the house. I looked to my right and to my left and there was no one there. I got out of the house and waited outside for my mom to get home. When she pulled into the driveway, I told her what had happened, and she checked the house and found nothing and said it was my imagination. My mother still lives in the house, and I live with her to help her now that she's elderly. My father died several years ago. Mom always heard Dad calling her name from the living room and talks about it often. She would go into the living room to ask him what he wanted, and he hadn't called her name. She still says it's her imagination. Story 2. I was in the 7th or 8th grade. I was home alone in the same house. My parents were gone for the day, and it was a weekend. It was cold and dreary outside, and I decided to do homework. I sat down at the kitchen table and laid out my books and notebook. To my left in the small house was the hallway. If you walk down the hallway, on the right side is the bathroom, and then my bedroom. On the left side of the hallway is my parents' bedroom and my brother's bedroom. That's it, small house. My brother worked all the time and was a lot older, so he wasn't home either. The house was dead silent. The house had that midday, low-light, hazy, dreary lighting effect to it due to the weather and not a lot of windows, which added to the peacefulness of the day. I was working on homework and everything was fine, and I was enjoying the time alone. From the end of the hallway to my left, a woman said my name. Again, it was my childhood nickname, and it was clear as day. My blood ran cold, and I froze. I looked to my left, to the end of the hallway, and saw nothing. My jacket was nearby, and in one swift movement, I quietly closed my books and grabbed my jacket as my heart was in my throat. I started to cry with fear. I headed directly out the back door without looking back. I went to the standalone garage out back and sat on my dad's red lawnmower to watch the back door to see if anyone came out of the house, although it would be impossible for anyone to be in the house other than myself because my family were the only people who had been home all day. I sat there shivering for hours until my parents got home. As soon as they pulled into the driveway, I met them and told them what had happened. They checked the house and found nothing and said it was my imagination. My mother still lives in the house, and I live with her to help her now that she's elderly. My father died several years ago. Mom always heard Dad calling her name from the living room and talks about it often. She would go into the living room to ask him what he wanted, and he hadn't called her name. She still says it's her imagination.
Story 3. It is not a home alone story because I was with my parents and nieces, but this shit is scary AF. This happened when I was like 11. My nieces are twin sisters and they are around 1 year and 4 months old at the time. We're in our old house to visit my uncles and aunties and grandparents. So that room where we slept at is a big room with a walk-in closet in it going to the bathroom. A door with a tinted window is what separates the bathroom and the room. We slept there with my nieces, my sister, cousin, 30-ish F, my nieces, and my 2 aunties, since the parents of my nieces are not with us yet and will go home that weekend. So while we were sleeping in the room, me in the bed, them in the floor with big soft mattress, around midnight my nieces cried and won't stop. They are sleeping closer to the door next to the bathroom, and their feet are facing my bed. My bed, one side, is on the wall. Finally, my aunties decided that we should change places, them sleeping in the bed and me in the mattress with my sister. The scary part is this: we woke up the next day and talked about what happened. They told me that my nieces won't stop crying and is shaking out of fear. My sister told me also there are shadow of men in the other side of the door. Note that even though it is tinted window, you can't clearly see them, but you will see colors instead of one plain color. They are black shadow. My aunt told me that maybe they are my grandfather and uncle who died already. My grandpa's room is the room where we slept at. My uncle's old room is renovated and turned into walk-in closet and bathroom, and then connected to the other room. This never happened, but once in a while we will hear someone using the toilet or is taking a bath there, footsteps or smell of liquor or cigarette, since they both have these vices. This can happen any time of the day or night. Worst case scenario, they will open the door and start knocking randomly to any doors at the house. Edit, I often wake up at 3 a.m. to go jog and exercise this pandemic and experienced knockings and heard footsteps outside. Scary experience because it won't stop really and would rather be stronger once you ask, who is the one knocking?